She sat on the examination table while Dr. Musa explained that she might have a strange guest inside her tummy. This guest was not a friend but a very big worm that had grown too much because of the food it had been fed. Ada's eyes grew wide, and she wondered what would happen next. Ada was a kind girl who lived in a busy neighborhood in Lagos. One sunny morning, she woke up with a terrible pain in her tummy. Every step she took felt heavy, as if a large rock was sitting right on her belly. Ada tried to ignore the pain at first because she had school and wanted to play with her friends. But as the day went by, the pain became much stronger. She clutched her tummy and sat quietly under the old mango tree in front of her small house. Her mother, Mama Ifeoma, noticed Ada's troubled face. "Ada, my dear, what is wrong?" she asked with gentle concern. Ada tried to explain, but her words came out small and shaky. Mama Ifeoma decided that something must be done quickly. They made their way to a nearby clinic where many kind doctors worked. Even though Ada felt scared and weak, she trusted that the doctor could help her. When they reached the clinic, she saw many smiling faces, but one doctor, Dr. Musa, looked worried as soon as he saw Ada. Dr. Musa listened carefully as Ada described the pain. He touched her hand gently and said, "Ada, we need to help you. I think something inside you is not right." Ada did not know what to expect, but she knew she had to be brave. She sat on the examination table while Dr. Musa explained that she might have a strange guest inside her tummy. This guest was not a friend but a very big worm that had grown too much because of the food it had been fed. Ada's eyes grew wide, and she wondered what would happen next. Ada's heart beat fast as she listened to Dr. Musa explain her problem. In the small, bright clinic in Lagos, the doctor carefully checked her belly with his stethoscope. He said in a soft but serious voice, "Ada, you have fed something inside you too much. Now, it must come out so that you can feel better." Ada felt confused and scared at the same time. Dr. Musa reached for a little bottle from his shelf and showed it to her. "This is a special medicine," he explained. "Drink it when you get home. But please, do not eat anything for 2 hours after you take it. This medicine will help the worm come out by itself." Dr. Musa looked into Ada's eyes and continued, "When the worm comes out, you must take care of it. I know it sounds strange, but you must stop it from hurting you. Do not let it stay inside you." Ada nodded slowly, even though she did not fully understand what was happening. She trusted the kind doctor and promised to follow his instructions. Before Ada left, Dr. Musa gently patted her hand and said, "Remember, Ada, you are very brave. Now, go home, take your medicine, and rest in the bathroom until the worm shows itself." Ada's mind was filled with questions and worry as she walked back through the busy streets of Lagos with Mama Ifeoma by her side. The noise of the city and the friendly greetings of neighbors did not calm her thoughts. Ada felt as if the medicine could change everything, and deep down, she hoped that the strange worm would soon be gone. After returning home, Ada hurried into her small house, filling her tummy churn with a mix of worry and hope. She went straight to the bathroom, a quiet little room where she felt safe from the bustling world outside. Ada closed the door tightly and sat down on the cool tile floor, holding the little bottle tightly in her hand. With a deep breath, she opened the bottle and drank the strange, warm liquid. It tasted odd, like warm water mixed with a hint of spice, but Ada swallowed it bravely. Mama Ifeoma had told her that she must not eat anything for 2 long hours after taking the medicine. Ada sat by the window, watching the sun move slowly across the sky while she waited. She remembered the doctor's kind words and tried to think of happy things, like playing with her friends, the sound of laughing children, and the bright colors of the market in Lagos. Even though the pain in her tummy made her frown sometimes, she forced herself to smile. Time ticked slowly. Ada looked at the clock on the wall and counted each minute. Every so often, the pain in her tummy would remind her that something was happening inside her. At first, it was only a small pinch, like a tiny ant biting her skin. But as she waited, the pinches became a little stronger, and Ada began to feel that the medicine was working. She closed her eyes and whispered a small prayer, asking for help and strength to get through this difficult time. Even though Ada felt scared and alone in that quiet bathroom, she remembered that the kind Dr. Musa had promised to help her. With each passing minute, Ada hoped that the worm, which was growing inside her, would soon come out so she could be free of the pain. The silence of the room was filled only with the soft tick-tock of the clock and Ada's quiet breathing, as the wait continued slowly and surely. Just as Ada started to feel as if nothing would change, a sudden, sharp pain burst from her tummy. Ada cried out in surprise. She clutched her stomach tightly, feeling as if a giant hand was squeezing her from the inside. Slowly, she began to notice something strange happening. Her eyes widened in shock as she saw a long, slimy shape beginning to move. It was the worm that Dr. Musa had spoken of, and it was coming out of her body inch by inch. Ada's heart pounded as she watched the long creature slowly slide into view. The worm was enormous and looked very scary. Its body glistened in the dim light of the bathroom, and it moved in a slow, wiggly manner. Ada felt a mix of fear and wonder. The pain was sharp and made her feel weak, but she was also amazed that something so strange could be happening to her. Even though she was scared, Ada remembered what Dr. Musa had said. She knew that the worm needed to come out so that she could be better. With every inch that the worm emerged, Ada's eyes filled with tears. The creature was moving slowly, like a long ribbon, and every tiny movement made her think about the danger inside her body. Ada felt as if the whole room was filled with the sound of her racing heartbeat. She sat on the cool bathroom floor, frozen in fear and wonder. Ada's mind raced with thoughts. She wished someone was there to help her, but at the same time, she was determined to be brave on her own. As the worm's head peeked out from the top, Ada could not tell if it was friendly or mean. Her heart told her to be very careful. The moment was both fascinating and frightening, and Ada understood that nothing would ever be the same again. Ada felt her body shiver as the long, slimy worm finally lay in the bathtub. For a few moments, she stared at it in disbelief. The worm, with its shiny skin and slow movements, looked more like a strange creature from a fairy tale than something real. Ada remembered Dr. Musa's instructions very clearly. When the worm came out, she was supposed to stop it from hurting her by taking action. But in that moment, fear got the best of her. Instead of following the doctor's advice to carefully kill it, Ada panicked. In her confusion, Ada did something very surprising. Instead of holding the worm gently and doing what she was told, she reached out and tossed it away from her. The worm landed on the cool floor with a soft thud, its long body curling up as if it were trying to hide. But the worm was not finished yet. As it lay there, it started to wiggle again, almost as if it were waking up from a deep sleep. Ada's eyes widened further when the worm slowly began to move toward her. Ada's heart beat faster, and she felt a chill run down her spine. In her panic, she had made a terrible mistake. Instead of stopping the creature, she had allowed it to be free. The worm seemed to come alive with every tiny movement, its eyes, or what looked like eyes, appearing to shine with a strange hunger. Ada wondered what the worm would do next. Would it try to hurt her, or would it find another way to cause trouble? For a moment, Ada wished she had listened more carefully to Dr. Musa's instructions. Now, as the worm moved slowly on the floor, Ada realized that her mistake might bring more trouble than she could handle. The creature was still very much alive and very much dangerous. Ada's fear mixed with regret, and she knew that she must be brave no matter what happened next. As the worm wriggled on the floor, Ada's fear grew larger than ever. The creature seemed to have a mind of its own as it started moving quickly. Suddenly, it lunged at Ada. She tried to move, but the worm was much faster. Before Ada could cry out, it wrapped itself around her head. The slimy body of the worm felt cold and wet against her skin. Ada's eyes widened in terror as she felt it creeping over her face. The worm's touch was uncomfortable and made Ada shiver all over. It pressed down hard, and Ada tried to pull it away, but the worm's grip was very strong. She could barely breathe as it squeezed her head tightly. Ada's small hands tried to fight back, but the creature was too big and too strong. Every moment felt like an eternity. The worm's movements were slow yet determined, and Ada could feel it sink closer toward her eyes. Her heart pounded so loudly she thought everyone in the house might hear it. Ada closed her eyes tightly, wishing that the pain would go away. But instead of stopping, the worm tightened its grip even more. The simple bathroom, which once felt safe, it now seemed like a very scary place. Ada was scared and alone, and her small body trembled with fear. In that frightening moment, Ada wished that someone would come to help her. She remembered the comforting voice of Mama Ifeoma and the kind words of Dr. Musa, but they were far away now. The worm's cold, slimy body was all she could feel, and the terror made her cry softly. Ada did not know how much longer she could hold on. The room was filled with the sound of her quick, shallow breaths and the slow, steady movements of the monstrous worm. Outside the bathroom door, Tand, Ada's best friend, grew worried. Tand had been visiting Ada often, and when he heard strange noises coming from the house, he decided to check on her. With a pounding heart, he gently knocked on the door, calling, "Ada, are you okay?" His voice trembled as he repeated her name, but there was no answer. Tand's mind raced with worry. He remembered the last time Ada had felt pain and how brave she had been, but today something felt very different. The silence behind the door was heavy and unnerving. Gathering all his courage, Tand slowly pushed the door open. The room was dimly lit by a small window, and in the middle of the room, Ada lay on the cool tiled floor. The sight that met Tand's eyes made his heart sink. Ada was motionless, and her face was pale. Tand rushed to her side, calling her name in a soft, frightened voice. "Ada, please wake up," he pleaded, his voice shaking with fear and sadness. But Ada did not move. In that silent moment, Tand's thoughts raced. He could not understand what had happened to his dear friend. His eyes scanned the room and then fell on the creature, the giant worm that had caused so much pain. Tand could see that the worm had not yet disappeared. It lay on the floor, still moving slightly, as if it were waiting for something. The horror of the scene made Tand freeze. His heart pounded loudly in his ears, and he felt as if time had stopped. Tand wanted to help Ada, but the sight of the worm made him feel helpless and scared. The air in the room was thick with fear and sadness, and Tand wondered how something so strange and dangerous could happen in his quiet home. In the quiet, dim light of the room, Tand knelt beside Ada, still not knowing what had happened. He gently touched her hand, calling out softly for her to wake up, but there was no response. Then his eyes shifted to the floor where the giant worm was moving slowly. It was as if the creature was alive with a purpose of its own. Tand's fear grew even more when he noticed that the worm was slowly moving toward his leg. For a moment, Tand tried to pull away, but his body felt heavy and trapped by fear. The worm reached out with its long, slimy body and touched his leg gently at first, almost like a whisper. Then, the worm began to move more quickly. Before Tand could cry out, the creature slid up his leg and reached his foot. The cold, wet sensation of the worm made Tand shudder. He tried to step back, but his legs felt weak. The worm seemed to be searching for something. It moved slowly upward, and Tand's heart pounded louder with every inch it climbed. His eyes grew wide as he realized that the creature was not going to stop until it found a new home. Tand struggled to pull his foot away, but the worm's grip was like glue. Slowly, it continued its journey up his body. The room, filled with the soft sound of Tand's frightened breaths, seemed to shrink around him. Tand's mind raced with thoughts of escape and help. He remembered the advice of Dr. Musa about the creature and wished he had known what to do in this situation. But now, it was too late. The worm reached his knee, and Tand's fear turned into a desperate panic. With each moment, the creature grew bolder, and Tand felt the realization that he might become its next victim. The room was filled with a silent, terrible tension as Tand fought against the growing grip of the worm. For part 2, subscribe to this channel and hit the bell button as part is coming. Thank you.